I will call to order the Pickering School Building Committee meeting. Roll call, please.
So I'm going to go down the list. Joe Smart, Mayor Nicholson,
Present.
Brian Castellanos, Lorraine Gately,
Present.
Yvonne Alvarez,
Present.
Michael Donovan,
Present.
Kevin Ritterhouse,
Present.
Deb Ruggiero,
Present.
Michael Bertino,
Present.
Rich Marlin, Peter Koulikides,
Present.
Lori Makua, Tom Mannion,
Present.
Jim Ridley, Lauren Drago,
Present.
Wayne Losey, Rick Starber, Diana.
That's not the right list.
Oh, I thought I had the
Lynn.
latest list.
Yep, no, it's Councilor LaPierre and Councilor Batul have taken over for.
Okay, Councilor.
Councilor Meany, actually, Mayor.
Yep, sorry, Councilor Meany. Thank you, Brian.
Okay, I have the wrong, I thought I had the latest list, but I apologize for that. Councilor LaPierre
Present.
and Councilor, who is the second?
Meany. Meaney.
Councilor Meehan?
Meany with an N, but yeah, he's not here.
Meany, okay, sorry.
Yep. That's right.
And Jessica Gerardo, Karen Miller,
Present.
Mayor McGee.
Present.
Thank you. With that, Greg, can you put up the presentation, please?
Should be able to see it now.
Yes, okay.
Yep, we can
Next
see it.
slide.
Thank you.
We'll go through the agenda. We have some administrative actions, approval of the December 13th, 2023 meeting minutes. It's hard to believe we haven't met since then. We have a project budget update and then talk about inclusion of the geothermal into the project. We have a design update. I'll turn it over to RDA to go through that. A little update on the regulatory permitting. Some information on our design development submission, as well as some changes that occurred during design development, and then a construction cost update. Then we'll go through some scheduling update for the summer work schedule and the upcoming SBC meeting schedule review. Next. First is the vote to approve the December 13th, 2023 SBC meeting minutes.
Motion to approve.
Seconded.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Next is our project budget status report. You should have received the February monthly report, and you'll see these in those reports. We've now entered in the full budget into the project budget report, and out of the full budget, we've committed 8% and expended 3% to date, and we completed design development at the end of February, and we're currently working with the cost of the design development. Next. We have included the geothermal system into the project design. The test well was completed just last week. So we're waiting on testing information on that to be able to inform the design of the geothermal system. and to actually confirm the cost to the project. And we believe that the cost of the geothermal system will be offset by the Inflation Reduction Act incentives, as well as the Mass Save in-grid rebates. Right now, we're currently carrying a cost increase of 7 million for the geothermal.
Can I just say a word on that, Lynn, in terms of
Yes.
there, because I think it's an important um, topic, and I think one that the committee has been interested in. And I think folks should be aware of the rationale here. The geothermal system, as many of you know, offers long-term savings for the building maintenance, and it's also a climate-friendly solution. It is, as you can see, an upfront increase in cost that we believe will be offset by these incentives and rebates. There is, of course, some risk there in that particularly the Inflation Reduction Act incentives are new, but we believe that this decision for this project is exactly the kind of decision that program in the Inflation Reduction Act is looking to encourage. It's like squarely what they're trying to do. And so we feel comfortable with that approach, but I think it is just worth noting that as with all of these decisions, there is pros and cons.
I will
Rich?
add to that the geothermal system is a 50-year system versus a typical HVAC system that's, anywhere from 20, 25, 30 years.
Great
So
point. Great
that's
point. Rich Marlin?
So, Mayor, you may know this, but the administration is looking at ways that they can, I'm not sure what grant program, where they can actually loan us the money that's not paid for by the MSBA. And then when we get actually the rebate back from the feds, then we actually repay them.
The Healy
So that
Driscoll
may-
administration is.
Excuse me?
The Healy Driscoll administration, you mean?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. So they're looking at some authorization to try to do that. I'm not sure exactly which program they're doing it on, but by the time we build this, hopefully that'll be in place so we could get the money up front and then pay them back, and it won't actually cost us anything, which will hopefully then reduce our actually out-of-pocket expenses.
Yeah, it's a great point. That I know that had been mentioned as a possibility because it's such a new program, and it does put us in this position where we have to make that decision of whether to go for it, and the state doing that would take out a lot of the risk. So something certainly we'll look into more. I was aware that they were considering doing that, which would be terrific, and really, if they want communities to do this, which I think everybody does, the uncertainty is obviously a challenge, and one that we're obviously looking to overcome, but certainly is on our minds. I also want to add that this was something the team looked into extensively to weigh the pros and cons and try to research what the process would be, and also one that our financial team looked at, including our financial advisors and tax advisors, to try to do appropriate level of diligence on that decision.
Okay. With the cash flow, you'll see that we have also cash flowed out the full project budget. And our expenditures to date, we're tracking just below our projected expenditures. So we're doing pretty good with the costs on the project. Next. Jean, do you want to take this section? I can go over this. We did file the expanded environmental notification form to MEPA on February 15th.
Great, some feedback. If everybody could mute, please. Yeah.
And it is our project. We provided supplemental materials on March 8th, And it's currently advertised in the Environmental Monitor, and the regulatory agencies have 21 days to respond. And we're hoping that we will receive a favorable response from MEPA sometime in mid-April. We currently have the early enabling bid package #1 out to bid, and we are anticipating a Conservation Commission order of conditions by the end of May, and to allow us to start construction mid-June. Jean?
Great. Would it be possible for me to share my screen so I can point out things on the floor plan?
Yes, hold on one moment. I just have to find where that button went.
Thank you. There we go. Thank you, Craig.
Well,
So I'm gonna back up one slide. Oh, no, I'm not. That's what Lynn just went through. So we've been in the design development phase, as you heard. And this is one of 3 submissions we make to MSBA before everything's done. And the purpose of design development, we had shown you this before. There's really kind of 5 bullet points. You know, we've taken the diagrams that were in schematic design and that the cost estimate was based on. And we spent, I have to, compliment the school department. We spent a lot of time with their staff, and they were very generous with their time and getting the right people in the room. And we went through pretty much every room in the building, or, kind of where it was, what size it was, how it would be outfitted. And this is the purpose of design development, is to actually start to finalize, kind of move things around and finalize all the layouts. So I'll show you some of the things that we did in some future slides. Part of that phase also is to finalize what they call the building envelope, which is all the walls, windows, roof. And there's a new energy code that this building is being designed around and will be constructed around. It's very, very, very stringent, very different from what we might have done even a year and a half ago. So we have been working diligently, running models and verifying that our building envelope conforms with the requirements for energy efficiency. We also have, we say integrated, but we've integrated all the structural framing, where the columns are, what sizes they are, how big the beams are, how the HVAC system, the ducts and the pipes get around the building, where the rooftop units will be up on the roof, and where the shafts will come down through the building to get fresh air and conditioned air and return air up and down throughout the 5 stories. And then Lynn touched on it a little bit, but also highlighted in red is we're finalizing the building design, but what we had to do first was do all this stuff with the structure and the HVAC system and all the room layouts. We had to finalize what they call the building footprint. Like, here is the ground floor, and here is where it's going to be on the site. And what that's allowed us to do is all this MEPA permitting and Conservation Commission permitting that is ongoing while we finish the building. So we also issued to the builder, Consigli, a set of what we call early bid package #1. So they're already pricing the site work based on our final footprint and where the building's going, and what elevation it is, all the utilities, so that while we're still finalizing the building design. They're pricing that and they'll be ready, assuming we have building permits in hand. Well, and state permits, this MIPA, this Article 97. So they're pricing it out, getting ready to hit the ground running, kind of in May. So we've been very, very busy. And I'm just going to, I know the diagram on the right's a little bit messy, but we're doing so many things at once. I just wanted to give you an idea of kind of some of the stuff we're doing. So as I said, we met with all the various departments and various staff people in the school department, and we made a number of tweaks, is one way to call it. The diagram here on the left, let me see if I can turn my laser pointer on. So this diagram on the left is where we were at schematic design, and some of the colors you see they're highlighting special education spaces, but which was part of our schematic design submission. And I've just used this plan because it's nice and clean. It doesn't have a lot of dimensions or column lines on it. So this is where we were at the end of schematics back in October. This is where we are currently. And as I say, I'm gonna, kind of apologize for some of the messiness, but we met with the community health folks. We met with the school nurse. We took what was a shared bathroom, and they said they really needed, a bathroom for each. We used to have an office here for an administrator for community health. So we kind of took that office out and we created a workstation out in the meeting room. And we have all the room they need, including 3 behavioral health professionals. And then for the nurse, again, they have their own bathroom, which is different. And then a cot area, a big office. But what they really wanted to make sure was they had, a private exam room and storage for various things. And both of these groups wanted to make sure if someone was sick and had to leave the building, that they could come out this side entrance. They really liked that instead of, a sick person having to go through the whole building and kind of come out the front. There's a little more privacy involved this way. For the administrative suite, Kevin and his team pointed out that, hey, I know we have the administrative office and the flow works well and the secretaries are, in great positions. There's a lot of times we have people or students that'll come in late and they have to sign in. So we actually have a desk at Thurgood Marshall that's just a desk out in the lobby. They call it the tardy desk. And I think they also use it for computer or technology questions from students. So we actually carved out a little bit of the administrative office. We still have plenty of room for waiting seats, but we carved out a little station here that's connected, and that's where the check-in would be instead of just having a random desk out in the lobby. When we went through the special education program, it became apparent that there was a person that we hadn't accommodated with an office, which is the special education director for the school. So we made the principal's office a little smaller, the sped chair office a little smaller, and we eliminated what had been kind of a wide corridor with room for waiting. We figured the waiting could happen out in the admin area and created that office. We had this whole suite here, which you might remember, people could check in at the office and then go right in and if you're a parent or guardian, talk to social workers or, other clinical professionals. But if students came in, they would have to come in and use the same entrance. So something as simple as providing a little corridor and reconfiguring it so students could come in and, parents or guardians, visitors could come in. when we got into the music areas, we had three practice rooms, and those are fine for music lessons for 2 or 3 kids. But it was pointed out, hey, a lot of times we have an ensemble of 5, 6, 7 kids that might want to be practicing, in a appropriate space. So we kind of reconfigured this whole area, created a larger practice, moved custodial things around. The drama classroom, we talked about this before, was just a small storage room for the black box theater, or a control room for the black box theater, and a small storage room. And we said, everyone said it'd be a lot more flexible if drama could use the storage, black box could use it. We need some sinks in there because, for instruments or just, water. But the control room itself, it'd be great if it could control the black box, but also since we're going to have a portable stage in the gym, it'd be great if it was kind of located here and we could use the same room to control lights or sound for something going on in the gym as well as the black box. And we also kind of created this passage under the stairway so that the black box could be used as a green room. And then, kids could, performers could come in beyond the stage while the audience is over here on the left side. Kind of based on one of the comments we got from your group, we went back and took a look at the kitchen again with the district staff, and we actually have enlarged the size of the kitchen a little bit, because there were some comments about making sure that the sinks for big pots and pans could fit trays, and that the size of the kitchen was really could be looked at one more time. And we did look at it, and due to some structural issues, we had to make the gym a little bigger to line up some exterior walls, and we took advantage of that and made the kitchen a little bigger. So that's kind of, an example of what we did, and I can go through the other 4 floors, or I could kind of pause and see if anyone had any comments on what we did on the first floor. Lorraine?
I don't see the locker room.
Oh, the locker rooms are back here, Lorraine?
I just want to make sure.
Yep. That was well, the kitchen was your issue.
Yeah,
And
the
the locker
kitchen's the
rooms were
locker
your
room.
issue even
Yeah.
earlier. And then we have these private changing rooms.
Oh, good.
So believe it or not, one of the issues was we used to have them so that you just came in from the locker room itself. And I think the staff said, boy, it'd be nice if there was a door here. So if there was something going on in the black box, this could be used as a changing area without having to go into the locker room.
Nice.
A lot of these changes have been really making the building more flexible. And, we love it because it just makes it bigger. Oh, the biggest thing. We had this really big lobby. The lobby at Thurgood Marshall is pretty good size, and this one was even bigger. So we said there were a couple things going on. We were kind of shy on storage space because we have this portable platform that's going to be out in the gymnasium, right? And I don't want a pen, excuse me, give me a sec. So the gym is going to be the gym, but it also will be used for performances. So there's a portable platform that would be the stage, and the audience would be on the left. But where does that stage get stored? When 90% of the time when the gym's not being used for performance. So we kind of had some, we could use some more storage area. And then we had this really large lobby. So we said, well, why don't we take a look at activating the lobby? And we did what many schools do, and we saw one of these in Situate when we went to tour it, and we created a learning stair, which for lack of a better word is kind of like a set of bleachers. So if you're up on the second floor, it's just tiered, very simple, concrete, I don't know, kind of like big stairs. And, you know, if the music people want to have a quartet down here or someone wants to do a presentation, you know, it's kind of like internal bleachers. So it kind of takes this big space and makes it usable. But then also it allows us under the upper part to create some storage, which happens to be adjacent to the gym and the music room. So I know there's a couple more hands up, but Lorraine, are you good on the locker rooms?
I'm fine with the locker rooms and the kitchen, as long as they're happy with that kitchen and the locker rooms able to meet the requirements and the middle school students can change after and before gym, that would be great.
Yep,
Thank you.
yep, we're all set. I think Brian, you might have had your hand up second, but
Thanks, Gene. Good evening. Did you mention at all about a seating capacity for the gym? How many will that accommodate?
oh, I wish you hadn't asked that. I honestly, I forget how many seats
I
are.
heard it was as few as 250 to 275, if memory serves me right, and I just thought that was inadequate.
Yeah, perhaps in the bleachers. And then the floor area would have stacking chairs as well if there was a production. And those chairs would be stored on dollies in this cafeteria storage room and wheeled in. But
But for
one of the-
athletic event spectator wise, you're going to be capped at around 250. Is that true?
I'm just going to apologize. It's not because I don't want to tell you.
Okay, we can revisit it,
I
but
don't want
I'm
to
just,
say the wrong number, Brian, but I
Yeah.
do want to say at Thurgood Marshall, we had a much bigger gymnasium. So
Right.
features on
Way
both
bigger.
sides. And on this one, for a couple reasons, there was MSBA will only fund, you know, 6,000 square feet. This is like 7,500. And also we had a much tighter site, so we couldn't do a big gym. What we did instead is we have this portable, well, not portable, movable wall. It's hard surface. It's not a curtain or anything, and it can be opened and stacked so that, you know, this whole space can be used, you know, as a large gathering space. And it's a little bit bigger than the gym at Thurgood Marshall, but that's about the best compromise we could come up with.
Okay, thank you, Gene.
You're welcome. Flory, did you have your hand up also?
Yeah, Gene, how you doing? So we submitted some comments on the DD during beginning of the DD process. We haven't received any feedback on some of those comments.
You did, the OPM did, left field, and also the builder did. And to be honest, we've been trying to wrangle the floor plan and the cost estimate.
Right.
So it's all gonna be kind of on one Excel worksheet, and it will be responded to.
Okay, but I'm afraid so you're moving ahead with CD pretty soon without actually responding back on the DD comments. And it seems like we're still doing some additional designing. What is this going to mean in terms of cost and scheduling, since we're still designing and with near CD drawings to come out?
Yeah, we are through with any floor plan manipulations or really, you know, we're looking at the size of windows. We're looking at carving some things out at alternates, Flory, but it's kind of based on trying to get the budget to be where the budget needs to be. And
Right.
as we finish things between now and November, you know, our hope is that we can fit some of the alternates back into the scope. Because we do have like $5 million of what they call design contingency, which is kind of not assigned dollars right now. You know, but they know as the design gets kind of fitted out that more scope may show up.
Okay. All right, that's good enough for me. Thank you. But well, just one last comment. But so if we start spending the contingency on the design now before even construction, what would happen if we have change order during constructions and we no longer have the funds.
Yeah, I want to be, I just know all this stuff in my head. So as part of the estimating process, the estimators know we're only about 35% through with the final design. So they in their estimate, they say, hey, here's everything we see on paper, but we're gonna set aside another chunk of money because we know from experience, stuff may get added into the design. So that is totally separate from the construction contingency that Lynn has in her budget other places.
Okay.
So. Does anyone have any other questions about that? Or I guess the first floor? And I don't mean to drag the meeting out, but I'll just go through some of the highlights of what the staff came back with and we incorporated. Up on the second floor, we added a space, what they call a cool down room in the guidance suite. And that was something that the staff said, hey, if we have a dysregulated student, the only cool down room is down on the first floor. So it'd be really good to have that here. So, we kind of reallocated space in this whole zone. We took what was just a big rectangle for teacher planning, and we defined it so that part of it's planning with tables and blackboards and marker boards and projectors, but also counters for paraprofessionals to have work areas in between when they're out with students. And then, here's a little alcove where there's a copy machine and some other equipment. Little things. For the two coach classrooms, each one had their own bathroom. And, again, a great idea is like, hey, can you just do a corridor and gang the bathrooms together? Because there might be two kids from this classroom that want to use the bathrooms at once. So instead of waiting for our dedicated bathroom, this corridor would allow both classrooms to have access to both bathrooms. It's going to sound silly, but for the gang toilet rooms, there's a monitor, and anyone who, if a student has a hall pass or a pass to go to the bathroom, they actually have to sign in to, before they go. So we created a little workstation here for that person, and we did that on every floor level. And as we kind of expanded this area, it pushed things up, and we used to have the fifth major classroom in here, but now it's too small. So we moved, the speech was over here, now it's down here. And to Flory's point, I just want to make sure people understand, this is kind of locked in place. This is stuff that happened, a month, 2 months, 6 months ago. 6 weeks ago. And then when we got up onto the third floors, we started thinking about, I don't know if you remember, but it's broken down into 9 teams, 3 teams per grade that's made up of math, social studies, English, and science, technology, or just science. So one of these teams is 4 contiguous classrooms, and kind of based on what we saw at other middle schools, and talking to the staff about flexibility and how they might run their program, we said each team will take 2 classrooms and we'll put a divider, movable partitions. So, most of the time it'll be closed and there'll be regular classrooms, but it could be opened if there's an event or some sort of program that they want to use a bigger space. And then also there could be a larger opening. It still has a regular door, but there could be a larger opening for each team so that they could actually spill out with activities into these extended learning spaces out in the corridor. So you'll kind of see a bunch of arrows where we've done that for all 3 teams for each grade level. And we talked earlier about kind of redefining how the teacher planning and the teacher workrooms work. We're, again, kind of based on some things that we researched, took advantage of the opportunity to carve out some space for a small group room at each grade level, which is just an enclosed, there might be learning activities happening here out in the open, but sometimes it might be appropriate to be in a room with a closed door for, again, kind of out of classroom learning experiences. We spent a long time talking about this, what was going to happen out on the roof deck at the third floor. Again, the movement studios have access to it, but it's a large area, has a skylight down into the lobby. But we talked about trying to create some perhaps planting beds, maybe some movable planting beds that could be brought in during the cold months. We do have natural light in these spaces. And, maybe there's a classroom area, maybe there's a movement area, maybe you're doing yoga or dance outside in the good weather. This is one area that we are going to design, but, it's costs money. So this is one area that will probably be an alternate in our cost estimates going forward. It's really kind of an extra, so to speak. If it's not built and there's just a roof, you still have your whole entire educational program. But as a kind of a safety valve on the cost estimate, again, we're designing it. We'll see if we can afford it in the future estimates. Up on the next, the upper two floors are kind of going to be very repetitive, where we've, again, tried to make the team clusters very flexible. We picked up space where we could. Here the wall used to just go straight across, and it's like, oh, we got dead space over by the stairway. So, where on the fifth floor, this is actually a science lab. We said that's where we kind of started. Like, geez, it'd be great to, get another science counter in there, and we just kind of brought that up. So, again, I think the school department did a great job, and all this stuff happened a couple months ago, and all these changes are in the design development cost estimate right now. So I think I was blabbing and I didn't see that Mayor McGee had his hand up.
Thanks, Gene. Nice presentation. Exciting to see the reality coming closer to happening. I had a quick thought on the, you want to go to third floor?
Sure, yeah. Right there.
So in terms of the pricing for the outdoor, the plantings, potentially, whether it be food or other plantings, has there been any discussion, and maybe that's not in your wheelhouse, for a partnership, maybe the food project or other things that are going on in the city, both at Tech and up at Ingalls? So I wondered if that would be an opportunity to get dollars from another place or partner in terms of trying to create the plantings there that we've done in other places, particularly on school property. So I just throw that out there as an opportunity to maybe still see it happen without having to worry about it being part of our budget. So I don't know if the mayor or others want to explore that further moving forward, but just a thought.
Yeah, it's a great point. And those are two examples, and they've actually added or in the process of adding others as well. So we can certainly bring that up with them.
Yeah, Gene, I think at a minimum, I think you can put the MEP around, the water, and structurally make it ready. If funding is the issue now, at least get it ready for future usage.
Yeah, it's a great, yes.
Yeah.
They're both really, every idea is a good idea, honestly.
Because I figure, if you don't run your water now, or structurally we don't design with this intent, then the future is definitely going to be difficult.
Oh, yeah. So Flory, maybe, so this is gonna be, they don't sound pretty, but they are concrete pavers, right? But the, the, there's the roof pitch, the roof is below it and the roof needs to pitch to, drains. So we actually, to accommodate this, this floor slab is at a certain elevation, but
Mhm.
the slab in this area is actually going to be down a couple feet,
Okay.
so that we can get a level surface and drain the water and all that. So even if we don't build this, to your point, we would still, our structural system would be recessed, and it just might be a roof for a while, but
Right.
you could build it out in the future.
Good.
I don't know if, Flory, if you were also talking about maybe like plumbing or access to watering, putting the pieces in place that if it does come to, if we can make this happen or others come to the table, that there
Right.
is an ability to, water and take advantage of that in terms of whatever plantings might happen up there. I don't know if that
Yes.
might have been what you were talking about as well.
Yep. 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 Yeah.
I think one thing you have to consider too is the new plumbing code for general neutral restrooms.
Yes, we do have gender neutral restrooms on every floor. I kind of forget where it is on
I
this.
think all the gang restrooms and all that have to be general neutral now.
Gotcha. And then Mike Donovan was good enough to point out that, hey, make sure, the plumbing code changed a few months back, make sure, that's not going to be a problem. So we've kind of vetted that, and we're actually showing more fixtures than the new code requires. So it's one of the rare
I think with the
instances.
general neutral, the urinals are eliminated and they're all compartmentalized toilets.
Lynn, is FF&E part of this process here now? Is there a package available or not?
We have not started the FF&E yet, other than, Jean has looked at how classrooms are laid out. But as we start to develop the FF&E program, it's probably further into the construction when it gets closer, maybe a year out from when we need it. We'll start to develop the packages and get them ready to go out to bid.
It's good. Thank you.
Yeah. I'll skip to, my last slide, but we can come back to anything you've seen. I mentioned it earlier, but, we have fully designed the site, and the contractor is in the process of bidding it, right? If the permitting goes smoothly, the prices will be in. Hopefully a contract will, be able to be executed, and, this site work could start in May. The other thing that's going on is with these drawings, they're not only going through the state permitting, but we've submitted these to the Lynn Conservation Commission. So kind of beyond the building itself, we're trying to get all the site permitting in line, and so far so good. And Lynn, that's what we have so far.
I have a quick question on the starting in May. Just can you be more specific where you're going to be starting in May? Because we do have the schools in session.
So, Lorraine, we have a slide later on that we'll ask Consigli to speak to, and it's about schedule summer work. So it might be easier if we just wait till then and let Consigli speak to that.
Okay, that's great. I can see people getting anxious. I got anxious because students are in the building.
Yeah, well, the idea is the school and and the playground are all kind of up in here, and any work that would be happening would be kind of down at the Magnolia Field level, Lorraine. But
Well,
but I'll let,
that's what I would hope. So let's say, because we shouldn't go up near system, just give them a chance to get out of the building in June.
yeah, definitely, yes. Yep.
Thank you.
Tom, did you have a question, or was that?
Gene, just quick, is the soil from the excavation, is that gonna be used down in the parking area? I know that was a plan a while ago. Is that still gonna happen, or is that gonna be trucked out?
There's gonna be, so we used to think that we were gonna be raising the road around here. And we're not anymore. We figured out that the best value was to kind of scoop out the hill. We are using what we scoop out. But there'll be some export of soils that are not perfect, we'll say.
But I know there's
But-
bad soil there. Okay,
But we've, I mean, we did go, I'm gonna say around and around, but not in a bad way. I mean, we looked at where the building was. Is it up, down? What are we doing with soils? We looked at it every way we could and came up with the most cost-effective and permittable plan we could. You know, dealt with the floodplain, dealt with everything we could figure out.
okay, thanks.
I have one more question, and it has to do with the elderly housing or the housing. Are we going to put that fence back or like put up a new fence? We had mentioned that earlier.
It's a really good question, Lorraine. It's something I'm just gonna make sure is in the plan, because I don't want to say it is and not be right.
All right,
But I'm writing it down right now, just like I did with your kitchen and locker rooms.
thank you.
So Lynn, I can either keep clicking slides, or I can
Yeah, go
let
ahead,
Greg
please.
take over.
So, if you had seen on the agenda that went out to everyone, we were going to be asking for a vote to submit the design development submission to MSBA on the 18th. We're asking that be postponed until the 28th to give us some time to better align the budget to the established budget, but also to you know, be able to gather the information from the test well that was done and confirm costs for that, as well as allow time to distribute the design development submission to everybody to take a look at it before we ask for a vote to submit it. And we also just received our assignment of the commissioning agent. The commissioning agent is Jacobs Engineering, and we hope to engage them so that we can get their review comments on the design development submission prior to submitting to MSBA as well. So from that perspective, we're asking that we schedule a March 27th SBC meeting. And if there's a favorable vote to approve and submit, we will submit the design development submission to MSBA the following day on the 28th. So those are the reasons why we are postponing the request to vote on the submission.
And when I assume that's a Zoom meeting, or is that in person? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And just to give you a quick update on where we stand with costs right now, our original construction budget was $133,993,738. With the increase of $7 million for the geothermal system, that puts us at $140,993,738. So the following two are our estimators, PM&C and Consigli, and those costs came in slightly over our targeted budget. And we are looking to reconcile between PMC and Consigli, but also to do some additional VE because we want to carry our CM's estimate forward into the next phase. And right now, the delta from Consigli's estimate to our construction budget is a little over 2.5 million. So we have a little bit of work to do to get us to budget, and we're planning on meeting to discuss VE this week and to see what we can do to bring it back down to our budget.
Gene, what was the base drawing on HVAC? Was it gas fired or fossil free? What was the base on
The base was, for design development, Flory, we had to pick one or the other, and it was geothermal.
Oh,
So these construction estimates include the extra, I'm gonna say $7 million for the geothermal. And that's why, but remember that Lynn had said that there was about, grants that
yeah,
we assume are gonna pick up that 7 million. So that's why from the SD budget of 133, the new budget we're considering is 140, which includes those grants.
well, the reason why I'm asking is if at 133 was the base base design was geo, and why are we going up by 7?
I'm
You know,
so sorry. The original was gas. Well, yes, it was gas, and the geothermal in the SD was an alternate.
All right. So you're doing geothermal testing now. So, and if it's not viable, what are we doing? We're going back to gas, which you already designed for.
No, well, the schematic estimates were just based on narratives.
All right.
The systems were not designed.
Okay.
But we have no reason to believe that we won't have, success with the geothermal well field.
Okay.
So, we don't anticipate going backwards.
Sounds good. Thank you for clarifying that.
So was the base Gene gas fired or air?
Well, it was air source heat pumps, but I thought, maybe I'm wrong. I thought there was a gas backup boiler.
Yes. Okay.
Oh, Rich, are you?
So the I did. So the 7 million increases for geothermal. And then the Inflation Reduction Act will cover 30% of our cost of that. So-
Plus 10% and another 10%. The 10% for American made, and they made the comment that even if we chose the geothermal system Rigan, which is out of Canada, there's been some exceptions for that being for that criteria, because we don't have a comparable system in the American made.
Right. So it's only a 10% tax
Additional
credit?
30 plus 10, and then
30%. Okay, I'm sorry. All right.
and then I think there's another 10 for apprenticeships.
Yep. So what?
And we have Mass Save that's projected to be around a little over 2 million for rebate.
So of that 7 million, how much do we think we're going to recoup from all the different credits? And
we think that we should recoup around 6+ million at least.
That's great. All right, thank you.
Ready for the next?
Yes, please. So these next few slides are VE recommended by Consigli that we're going to be working on this week, and this just shows that we are looking at ways and pathways to get us to budget, and that's
Yeah.
Jean's got to look at them and review them and make sure that they, there's no changes to the academic programs or educational programs in order to accommodate these VE items.
So we're all putting our heads together. Sometimes it's stuff coming from RDA, sometimes from left field, and this list happened to come from Consigli, so. Whole bunch
was-
of different things. We'll put numbers on them all and decide what the best value is. I interrupted you, Lynn, I'm sorry.
No, I just wanted people to understand we're working to try to get there. We might not take all of these, as you see, they're all pending, but between the ones that Consigli has come up with, the ones that RDA comes up with, we're hoping to get to our target budget.
Without messing up the educational program.
Yes. So, Brandon, I believe you're on. Can you just run everyone through the summer construction schedule, what you're anticipating and when you're anticipating getting started and what that looks like?
Yeah, so the schedule you see on the screen here is a little more eager than where we're thinking the permitting phase might land. So we are kind of tied to where that lands for us. But the goal of this summer's work would be to complete our mobilization to site fence, separate the job site from the public and the school, and then work very heavily on the retaining wall and ramp at the backside of the existing school. So Lorraine, to your question earlier, we would be close on one part, but the key there is to complete all that work. So when we take over their current playground space, we are turning over the new space so they can use it in the same capacity they are now. So that would be our main goal for the summer as we get in there and get done before kids are back for next fall.
Do you want me to go back to the site plan, Brandon? Is that helpful?
Sure.
Or Lorraine? I can't resist. Give me a sec. So Lorraine, what Brandon was saying was on the back, this is the Sisson wing, right? And on the lower side here, it's overlooking Magnolia Park. So this is up high. The new Sisson playground is going to be down at Magnolia Park level. So there's a retaining wall that's going to hold up the earth, and then this is going to be lower. And then there's a ramp and stair system that has to be constructed. So the thought is, well, the plan is get this started and get this playground operational before before you tear down the modulars and start doing the excavation and you lose your existing playground.
Yeah, so we're calling that kind of our first phase, and then we don't do anything obviously with the modulars or that upper playground until at the end of June when school is out. We'll take over the rest of that area that then becomes the construction site and start work on the main building itself while we finish up the details right behind the existing school.
And you do have the new sewer line, right? That's gonna be starting down near where the the community playground area is.
Yes, we do need to coordinate and make sure that we keep the existing utilities on to the school that are there now, so there will be some work associated with the sewer this summer.
And when do you anticipate those packages are going to be going out for bid?
So those are going out now with the goal of about a month from now coming to this group here with a recommendation for who we'd like to bring on board as our site contractor.
I was actually in that plan, like where the elderly housing is, that's the fence I was talking about, because you sort of said, oh, we're gonna give you a new fence. So
Yes.
they like that, okay.
Yep. Yep.
It sounds good, that would, perfect, thank you.
So Brandon, I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to highlight on this, but you're kind of in this late April, May start, right?
Yes, it'll always be a slow start. That first week, you'll see it stuff kind of come together, and like I said, separate us from the rest of the school land there. Everything we have to do to get set up for the project, and then sometime mid-late May is where we really start seeing work happen.
I don't, let's see what the next slide is. Yeah, so do you, does anyone have any questions on kind of what is anticipated this summer? If not, I can just go to Lynn's next slide.
So just a quick update, we're proposing to schedule another SBC meeting on the 27th that you see here. And we'll be sending out the draft of the design development, hopefully before March 25th, but at least by March 25th. We have today plan to ask MIPA to schedule their site walk on March 27th. And there's a public, what they call a public consult meeting that has to occur. And we're looking to potentially have that on the same day prior to the SBC meeting. In this case, both would be hybrid, the SBC meeting and the MIPA outreach meeting, if we can get that scheduled with MIPA. And because we'll need translators for the outreach meeting as well as the MIPA site walk. But we're in the midst of trying to figure all of that out and get MIPA tied down. We have to complete this by April 1st, or we have to extend 30 days our outreach time frame. So we're trying hard to get that in prior to April 1st. After approval of the design development submission, we'd be looking to submit it the next day to MSBA on the 28th. We do have a parent and teachers project review meeting scheduled for April 23rd. And we were proposing to join that with the SBC meeting as well. However, today we were talking about there may be some confusion about this MIPA outreach meeting that we're planning for the 27th and this parent and teachers project review meeting on the 23rd. So I think Dr. Alvarez, I can't see if you're still here, but we talked about maybe to avoid that confusion, consolidating and moving the parent and teacher meeting up to the 27th, where we'll have, have translators and everything. And I don't know if that would be feasible to do or not.
I'm still here, Lynn.
Hi.
I don't know that we've discussed the 27th. I know we're going back between the 23rd and the 24th, and we selected the 23rd today. The 27th, I'm just looking. Is a Saturday?
No, it's Tuesday of March.
Oh, of March.
Or Wednesday, is it?
Because
It'd be
we
2 weeks from
selected
tonight.
Wednesday, sorry.
Yeah, because we did April 23rd for the other meeting.
Dr. Alvarez, the reason the question came up was we're questioning, will the parents and staff
Right.
get confused that there's a public meeting on the 27th and then a public meeting on the 23rd of April?
Third.
And so
Yeah.
we're questioning, do we combine them or do we keep them separate?
I mean, we could certainly do a meeting on the 27th of this month. That would not be an issue. I think we should keep them separate just because, parent interests, I don't know, the questions may be different. It may take us a little bit more time to respond.
I do, after reflecting on the discussion earlier today, I do worry about too much in one meeting. And so it's
Yeah.
going to be really important that the communication around what the meeting on the 27th is about and what the public part of that is, and then specifically what the April 23rd meeting is, and keep them
It's
to
for,
both.
yeah.
The information, the information's gonna be the same in either, except for whatever the school department may add, from their perspective, to the parent and teachers meeting, but in terms of the project review, it's gonna be the same. So in a way, it gives parents the opportunity to attend either meeting.
We just need some time to get the information out about the meetings so people know that it's there. You know, it's happening,
Right.
if it's happening on the 27th, so that I sort of agree with Devin, Dr. Alvarez, that the 23rd would be the best, because that would give us time to get out to the community and let them know.
Okay,
I am a little concerned that April 23rd, I believe, is the first day of Passover. I don't know if that might be a day we want to avoid having a public meeting as a result.
The April 23rd, that would be the school building committee. That's not, or
That's it, April 23rd is on a Tuesday also.
Oh, I
We-
thought that's where we were talking about doing the parent and teachers meeting as well, but I might have the months mixed up.
It should be April 24th if we're using April. Because we use Wednesdays, I believe.
I think the April 23rd date came from the school administration.
That just happened to be the day where I think both principals were available from Sisson and Pickering.
okay.
We can keep it as it currently.
Yep, the project team will look into the dates.
Yeah. We'll keep it as it stands for now, and we'll start to firm up the dates with MIPA. And this is just where we are in the overall schedule. We're into the 60% CDs. We're a little behind on submitting our design development to MSBA, but I know Jean is continuing to progress the project. And we're still on target for a early construction start for this summer, and actually a little bit ahead with some of the mobilization of that. And as well as our Article 97, we still have not received it's not complete yet, but I know that it, I think, passed the House and is into the Senate in terms of, and then after that, it'll go to the governor for signature. And that's all I have for tonight. Does anybody have any questions on the schedule or cost or any of the other items we presented tonight? Tom?
Lynn, I just wanted to take time to express how great the school is looking and the geothermal coming on board. And I know Rich Miles spent a lot of time working on that. It's just going to be a great thing for the city of Lynn. This building's going to be great. The city deserves it. And just want to take the time to thank everybody, and especially Rich, for working hard at this.
Great point. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Rich.
I
All right.
also want to jump in here because after the last building, and finally it's going to be starting, I hope everyone on this committee realizes we are going to be starting the Pickering Middle School building. How exciting that is. We so deserve it in this city. Thank you all for your hard work.
Thank you. Yeah, that's a great point. And I imagine we will talk about doing some kind of groundbreaking this summer, and we'll, of course, let this building committee know. All right, seeing no further business, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion to adjourn.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right.
All right, good night, everyone.
you.
Thank you so
Good night.
much.
Good night.
Thanks, everyone. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.